the end of it?
Let's get rid of Project. Let's bail on Project. Project just makes it too long and just a mouthful. And we don't have any the email. None of that shit has Project on it.
It's true. Okay. We're Will. I can't say we're Will and Gavin Graham. A couple of cousins that like sci-fi movies, fantasy games, speculative fiction, and other silly things. So then are we going to do it's like a book club for the 21st century? Join
Something
us
like
listening to books. Okay. I like that. And other silly things. I just want to make sure I got this right. Join us in listening to books, watching TV and movies, playing games, then discussing them in as much detail as we see fit. Listen and watch along with us and argue with our thoughts or suggest books and join us for a discussion afterward. Nerds will come. Grab a blue milk, some Hagro biscuit, and give yourself to the dork side. Hagro?
Hagro, yes.
Sometimes it's Hagro.
No, it's Hagro. It's from
Hitchhiker's Guide. I've read that sometimes it's Hagro, though.
No, it's Hagro. That's from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Wiki.
Really?
Yeah, no, but like in Wiki, it said that's every once in a while they call it Hagra.
Oh, that's funny.
Because it was weird. I was like looking at images because I had to. I was like, "What the hell is a Hagra biscuit?"
Right.
And so half of them said Hagra, and I was like, "What? That's weird." So I had to look into that. Do you know what it is? It's like a blue biscuit with
it's like
guacamole.
It's a sausage. Yeah. The Dentrasi make it. Yeah.
It's a sausage.
Yeah, Hagra biscuit. It's from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
I know, but from what I looked up, the blue purple thing was just like a biscuit. I thought, not a. No,
sausage. it looks like it's kind of. I mean, it's a made up food in a made up world, but it's basically it's not even. It's kind of like a sausage on a bun with some like green slime thrown on it. But the Dentrasi, there's an alien race called the Dentrasi, and they make the best Hagro biscuit in the universe. And Ford Prefectus is like, "Oh fuck, you got to try this. This is awesome." And Arthur takes a bite and he spits it out, and he's like, "Oh, it's terrible." And it turns out it's terrible because the Dentrasi hate the Vogons so much that they're making them really awful Hagra biscuit. So,
that gets deep.
It does. It does.
Is that in the movie? Like did you like the movie with Most Def?
I did like the movie. I really did.
I liked it. I thought it was good.
I liked it a lot. There was a huge thing. They've been trying to turn that into a movie for a really long time. And it's what I think is really cool about Hitchhikers is every time it's been done in another media, it's a slightly different story. The details are all different. So the book is different than the TV show. The TV show is different than the radio play. The radio play is different than the movie. They're all a little bit different.
I was going to ask, like, what do I listen to first? Because in the file, it's like,
they're all Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is the first one. That's the first one. And then Restaurant at the End of the Universe. And then
but there were like different versions, like the radio drama.
They're all good, but it doesn't really matter. He did the book and the TV show were written at the same time. And then the radio drama came later. So if you want to be really technical about it, either book or TV show, the British TV show, either one is kind of because they were written simultaneously, sort of. A lot of times he would run into the studio with the script and the ink was still wet. Douglas Adams was famous for fucking up deadlines. He actually said one time in an interview, he goes, "I love deadlines. They make the coolest sound as they go whizzing by." So he was famous.
Pass me by.
Exactly. He was famous for turning shit in late. He wrote for Macworld and all these other computer things and everything else. And he just continually fucked up deadlines. He was absolutely famous for it. So, but yeah, so but radio dramas are good too. There's two different radio dramas too. If I'm right, there's two different versions of the radio.
I was going to say, I look like there were a few different versions in there.
It's all.
That's what I was going to read instead of Star Wars. And I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to start with Star Wars book 1.
There you go. That's it. Going all the way in, going in deep.
Yeah.
That's funny.
A little light reading on the side, doesn't hurt.
Right. Yeah, no, for sure. I don't know what I'm doing next. I got to figure out what my next book is. I think I'm going to find Red Shirt just because I'm into Scalzi right now.
Red Shirt. Or I was going to say maybe book 5, the one that I was telling you about.
I may do that too. I think I am going to do Red Shirts next because I'm curious as hell about that. I got to know if that's as funny as I think it is. And then I've got a friend the DM from the Star Wars role playing game we're playing, he wrote out a list of recommendations, and he's got a very similar taste to the two of us. He wrote out there's one book that I've run into a couple of different lists. It's called Space Opera. Apparently, it's absolutely just fucking butt-gustingly funny. It's apparently just really, really good. And he suggested that right off. He's like, if you like Hitchhikers in Discworld, you're gonna dig the shit out of this. But I can't find it anywhere. I might actually have to buy it, which is weird. Like, damn. I know. I don't. I feel all unclean and shit. So,
take a shower.
Yeah, I'll go take a shower. I'll go kick a puppy or something to make up for it. But if I can get that, then I'll put that. I'll give you my Audible credentials, or I can just rip it into MP3 and send it to you MP3 style. There's no reason to pay the author twice, fucker. So,
just the artist trying to make a living.
I know. And as many artist friends as I have that like do this shit for an absolute living, you think I'd feel better about it, but I just don't. It's all Metallica's fault, dude. It's all fucking Metallica's fault.
It always goes back to
it does
to that fateful day. That was Napster, right?
Yeah, it was Napster. Yeah. And Lars Ulrich. They're making my life really hard. They're taking everything away from me. I'm a really hardworking artist.
Yeah, I'm in my mansion.
Yeah. Oh no, Lars Ulrich doesn't have a third swimming pool. Fucking boo-hoo. Like, fuck you, dude. He is an asshole too in real life. He is a real fucking prick. He is a piece of shit. And he's a just shit drummer. Like, on top of everything else, he's just not a good drummer. Like, he's a terrible fucking drummer. So, anyway,
icing on the cake.
Fuck those guys. I can only listen to the first 3 albums anyway.
Just listen to old.
Yeah. No, I can't listen to anything. Like, I like Jason Newsted as a bass player. I think he's an awesome musician, but I can't listen to anything after Master of Puppets. At all. And then when they came out with that movie, the monster movie or whatever it was, I can't think of the name of it, but they had a movie, and James would just come back from rehab, and he was all talking about his therapist and his feelings. And he was like, well, I really feel like as a band, we need to do that. And I'm like, fuck you. You're metal. You're not allowed. You're allowed one emotion in metal: anger. That's it. That's what you're allowed. That's it. That's what you get. That's it. That's all you have. Like, if you're not mad at something, I don't want to hear about it. Like, it doesn't matter. So, but it was really
does not translate to music.
No, it doesn't work. You're metal, dude. Like, you're metal. That's it. You get mad. That's it. That's what you get. You get anger. That's it. That's your emotion that you have. You're not allowed anything else. Period. That's it. You can be sober. I don't have a problem with that, but you can't be sad. Like, that's not a thing. That's not. So they lost me big time. Anyway.
Needless to say.
Yeah. Well, Eddie Van Halen died today. Did you see that?
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess.
Yeah. That's a bummer.
Trump's still alive.
He was only like 65 or something, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he was young. It was throat cancer. It was cancer that caught up with him. It got into his brains and shit. And he smoked for most of his life, but they're not saying it was a smoking. They're saying he used to keep a metal guitar pick in his mouth. Like, what? I'm pretty sure it was the smoking. I'm not a doctor. I'm not an oncologist, but pretty sure probably wasn't a guitar pick.
Smoking a pack and a half a day.
Yeah. Yeah, and like, God knows how many 8 balls a day in the heyday.
I was going to say partying and everything too.
Oh yeah, I think he was another one that had to go to rehab. I think he was a big alcoholic that had to go to rehab. But yeah, whatever.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah. Rip in peace.
Well, yeah. Rip that bong. I guess I'll hit record. Should we do this thing?
Yeah, let's do this. So I'll hit record on Audacity now. And I will hit record on Zoom. Oh, I'm already recording on Zoom.
Oh,
wow.
Got that last 20 minutes of gold.
Yeah, really.
It's gold, Jerry.
That's funny. Okay.
And cool. I will clap and you will clap in 3, 2, 1, clap.
Close enough. Okay.
That did not. We were not close at all.
No, but I'm at about. Just look for my spike around 24 seconds, and then look for your spike around the same time, and
Yeah,
then they don't have to line up perfect, but it should be pretty easy.
we'll see it. We shall see it. Cool.
Okay.
Well,
Clap at 24 seconds.
shall I introduce the
Yeah.
podcast then?
Yeah. And then we'll. So, what are we doing? You're doing a intro, and then I'll do overview of episodes,
Yeah.
more or less.
I have to get.
Well, you do
I
that.
have to get
You
over
do.
to that email once I.
You do the opening. I'll do a spoiler alert and tell everybody about the format change, and then we'll just get into it.
Yeah, we'll both probably have a little something
Yeah.
to say in that part.
Yeah.
But you
right.
start. You can start it
I'll
off.
start. I just
Cool.
It's a place for a cheap joke. I'll take it.
Cheap joke, cheap date.
Hey.
I can deal with that. Well, hello and welcome to the Holograms Media Club. We are Will and Gavin Graham, a couple of cousins that like sci-fi movies, fantasy games, speculative fiction, and other silly things. It's like a book club for the 21st century. Join us in listening to books, watching TV and movies, playing games, then discussing them in as much detail as we see fit. Listen and watch along with us and argue with our thoughts, or suggest books and join us for a discussion afterward. Grab a blue milk, some Hagra biscuit, and give yourself to the dark side.
Cool. Welcome to
I
episode
said
2.
dark, not dork.
That's okay. It still works. It's okay. It's fine. It works. We're good. So, welcome to episode 2.1. Well, don't think it's very important why we're at point 1, but there you go. We want to give a spoiler warning. The details will be in the description, but spoiler warning, today we will be talking in detail about the first half of Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. There'll probably be some other spoilers here and there about, but anything major we'll drop in the description. Like Will says, we're a media club, so get in on this. Send us some emails. We'll be on Instagram. All our social stuff will be down in the description. Send us some emails. If you want to be on the cast with us, that would be great. We would love big audience participation. That would be ideal.
Definitely want to make it a community with involvement from you guys. Definitely want you guys to probably listen or read the book. At least the first half is what we're going to be discussing tonight. So that would be the best idea. If you haven't read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep yet, go ahead and read that first half. We're going to definitely get into spoilers, like Gavin said, and have some fun talking about theories and ideas, predictions for what, to expect, what we are expecting for the second half of the book, and kind of take it from there. We'll definitely make comparisons to other books we're reading, Old Man's War currently too, so that'll be in a future episode. We'll go over that. But yeah, come along with us and we'll talk about Blade Runner in book form.
Yeah, and probably soon enough Blade Runner in movie form. I actually just watched it again this weekend.
Did you?
Yeah, I got an itch, so yeah. So
you're going to be watching it again in another week or two.
That's fine. It's not a movie I get tired of. I don't get tired of that movie. It's one of the maybe 4 or 5 movies I can watch almost once a week with not a problem. I wouldn't get tired of it.
I feel like every time you watch it, you see something new,
yeah,
look at it a different way, especially if you ever get a chance to go back and see it in theaters.
Yeah.
They have a re-release or something like that.
Yeah.
So cool to go and see, in big screen.
Yeah, totally.
Taking those details you don't normally.
Yeah.
See.
I got Blaze and I got to go see it last year at a theater down the street from us. We got to see that in 2049 within 2 weeks of each other. It was really cool. It was his first time seeing Blade Runner and my first time seeing it in the movie theater. It was fucking rad. It was pretty fucking
cool.
rad.
That's rad. Nice. He got to see it in theater for his first time. Wow.
I know, right? Well, he also, that same movie fest, he also got to see Akira. That was the first time he'd seen Akira and the first time I'd seen that on the big screen. And I didn't see 2049. So the first time I saw 2049 was in the movie theater with him seeing it. It was cool. Back when we had movies. We don't have movies anymore.
That's something special as a father and son to get to go.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, totally. That's our jam is movies. We also got to go see Fury Road, the black and chrome edition, which is an absolute favorite of mine. Um,
Future episode.
future
Talk
episode, I can
talk our
go.
ears off for
I can
hours.
go. I can go. I can go days about why that movie is the perfect movie. That was that was a good movie. Um, so I guess we should mention that if you did follow us on episode 1, we discussed our list and why we're doing this. What was the impetus of doing this? And the format was going to be, I was going to give Will a book that I'd read, and he was going to give me a book that he'd read, and we were going to read half and then discuss half. We've been doing this so long, and the podcast was getting stale. We changed up our format. We're just going to be doing one book at a time. We realized that 2 books at a time was probably a little ambitious, and a much faster rate than I think we wanted to go. I think we want this to be kind of fun and casual, more so than trying to bang out a lot of books as fast as possible. And this way we can spend more time on one book and really get more into the nitty gritty rather than have to pound through some stuff. So longtime listeners will notice a format change.
All the way back on episode 1.
Yeah, God, those are the days, man. Jesus.
Well, let's get into catching up. I mean, we've just been talking for a minute before we started recording, but how have you been doing? For the past couple of weeks, we haven't seen each other, so.
Yeah, no, doing okay. Nothing major going on. I mean, other than the world burning around us. Nothing really major, just working, building houses. I did get a vinyl machine so I can make stickers and t-shirts now. I made some stickers this last weekend, and I made my first shirt. I put a goat head and a pentagram on the back of one of my old flannels. So that's been the new thing. But that's really it. Not a lot going on. Just working and doing this. I can't think of anything really. Nothing too exciting. This last weekend really
that's pretty
was
cool.
Just sitting around. Yeah, it was nice. This last weekend I actually relaxed. It was the first weekend I didn't have to work extra hours or anything, so it was cool. I started playing Skyrim again. That's the big news. I've started up a new game of Skyrim.
Nice.
This time I'm changing it up. I'm going to be a sneaky archer instead of my last build, which was an archer that was sneaky. So I'm playing a Khajiit.
Big changes.
I had big changes, right? No, I'm playing a Khajiit this time, and I really am focusing on like total stealth and archery. I haven't even put any build into. I haven't put any points into like even light armor or one-handed weaponry. It's just archery and just sneak. So I'm gonna try to get to where I can just backstab at fucking everybody. Like,
I've heard that's kind of the way to go if you want. One of my buddies used to play back in the day, and he had told me that you can almost go through the whole game without getting any damage taken.
Yeah, you can. There's a couple of different cool ways to play it. I've never played it a really strange. Well, one time I did play it. I made it about halfway through before I broke down. I hadn't killed any dragons, so I hadn't actually triggered the main storyline. I was about halfway done with all the little side quests and everything else before I actually, and then I got bored with it and killed the first dragon. But it was really funny to get that far and have not done anything at all to the main quest. So,
well, that's the best part of that game is going on the side quests. And
yeah, totally. It's if you're a side quest guy, or a side quest person, that really is the way to go. So, but yeah, I just started that up. I was sitting around. I haven't had a game in a while. I finished Dying Light. I finished the old Dying Light a couple months ago, maybe a month ago, 6 weeks ago. And then needed a game. Didn't have any game in my library that looked interesting. I was like, fuck it, let's just do Skyrim again. Because why not?
Not a bad pick. Yeah, it's too cool to start fresh.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I've never played a Khajiit. So this will be my first time playing a Khajiit. So that'll be fun, maybe. Or maybe not. I don't know. So, but that's it.
That's world of possibilities.
That's right. Yeah. So that's my news. They very, very plain last couple of weeks, really. So not much going on.
Yesterday, for me, on the opposite side of things, we had a police sting in my neighborhood.
Really?
Actually, it was 2 days ago. So 2 days ago on it was a Sunday, my wife went outside just to kind of poke outside, and there were a couple of policemen and police cars. And the one guy had asked her to step back inside kindly. And so she called down to me. I was downstairs, and I came upstairs, and I wanted to check things out. So I went out the back door trying to sneak out.
Yeah.
And I just started to open the door, and there's a policeman right there. And he said, "Sir, can you please step back inside?
Really?
So I was like, you don't have to tell me twice.
Yeah,
I
really.
closed the door. Come back inside, and then we're staring outside. For the next, I think it was an hour and a half. When we found out from another neighbor of ours that they were doing a police sting, there had been a shooting in our neighborhood. Uh, live in Denver. We live in a pretty decent. It seems like
Right.
we've lived here for 3.5, 4 years, never had any issue, but can happen anywhere. So
Yeah. Well,
there
that's
were
true.
police
Yeah.
kind of cordoned off like our whole, maybe 2 blocks, 3 blocks. It was like 10 houses,
Wow.
and they ended up catching him on nextdoor.com. They ended up posting that they had caught him in somebody's carport, and he was like under a caravan trying to hide from them.
Man. Wild.
So that happened.
That's
We were
fun.
cordoned off in our house for like 2 hours.
That's nuts, dude.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you
Other
have
than that,
any idea what he was like, what his issue was? I mean, other than just some nut with a gun?
well, I think he had shot somebody, is what apparently happened.
I mean,
Uh,
like why? Just random or
I'm not sure about that part.
right? Huh.
It could be, yeah, I don't know, gang beef or something like that, but it's
Wild.
just, yeah,
So
I'm
I'm
not
not
sure.
coming to visit you anytime
Yeah.
soon.
Well, then that was Sunday. Today's Tuesday. Yesterday on Monday, I was riding home on my skateboard from work, and I stopped off, and there were a couple of cops still on that street. And I thought it was just like, leftover from the sting operation. Come to find out from another neighbor of mine that somebody else had robbed a Boost mobile store and ended up
What?
at a house right on that same block. So, like, living here for 4 years, it's been quiet, and then all of a sudden, 2 days in a row,
Wow.
cops showing up.
That's nuts, dude. That's funny.
Yeah, so that's
Hmm.
what's been happening. Nothing else really going on. We're still in the middle of moving downstairs, so
Right, right. That's
but
funny. Cool.
yeah. So that's what we're both up to. Yeah, let's get
Nutty.
to the meat of the episode here.
Yeah.
Kind of start off with talking about Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick, written in 1968. And we're just going to talk about the first 11 chapters. So we won't go any further than that. I've never read the whole book, so I don't
Right.
have any knowledge beyond that point. You have.
I have.
So
I have.
looking forward to kind of getting into the further discussions of that with you. But for now, we're just going to
Yeah,
stick to
no,
that.
for that, yeah.
So, and we're in a post-apocalyptic world. The year's 2021, so it's only 1 year in the future from where we're at.
Yeah.
Um, and there are policemen that are hunting down androids, trying to retire them. The androids are so good at disguising themselves, fitting into society, that you can't really tell who they are unless you initiate some sort of test on them. So
Mm-hmm.
we're following kind of along with the main character, and his name's Rick Deckard, and there's lots of really cool, deep ideas that we get into pretty much right off the bat that we
Yeah.
really
Yeah. It's for a 200-page
can't
book.
wait to discuss.
For a 200-page book, there's a lot of shit going on in it. There's a lot of themes and a lot of underlaying currents in that book for 200. It's incredible for 200 pages. So, yeah.
And I guess we should mention we're also listening to the book.
Yeah.
I believe you've read the physical book maybe in the
I have.
past,
Yeah.
but then
yeah.
we're both listening. We both have jobs, and it's kind of a different era now with Audible. The way that they read the books, it's really gets you into the character mind, and it kind of creates a different platform that you can
If you have a good reader, it can
get
be a
into
whole
that kind
nother
of media.
if you have a good reader, it can be a whole nother experience. If you have a bad reader, it can be a whole nother experience too. There was the old Lord of the Rings books were just a fucking chore to listen to, frankly. We can get into that another day. I've found a good version of that finally, but
Yeah,
yeah,
you
the
were
guy,
telling me with sound effects and everything like that.
yeah, this guy Phil, we'll put a descriptor. It's not easy to find, but if you're internet savvy, you can find copies of these. This guy, Phil DeGash, I think his name is, went through and actually took music and sound effects from the movies and incorporated it into his reading, and he read it as full characters. So it's almost radio drama. But it's phenomenal. It is absolutely phenomenal. If you're an LOTR person, then it is absolutely the way to listen to it. It's really good. But I like the guy that does, I think his name is Scott Brick. What's his name?
Mm-hmm.
Scott Brick.
Scott Brick. Yep.
He reads it really well. I don't know that I've listened to anything else that he's read, but I love the way he reads this. He's got this real noir sense. Like, I have a feeling that he probably put on an old tatty brown suit with an old tatty fedora in the in the recording studio when he read this. There's just something so perfect about his voice for this. I'd like to seek him out and find some other books that he's read and see what else he's done.
Yeah, I definitely have a couple of books I've listened to that he's done.
Right.
That I can't wait to recommend for you. Thomas Covenant by Stephen Donaldson. The Gap Cycle, also by him, and
right.
I think he read Cloud Atlas and a few other books.
Okay. Yeah.
But
yeah, I'll have to go back and see if I can find him on some other stuff. But yeah. Yeah, and it's the 21st century. Like, I mean, we all drive. We all have a commute in some way or another. Well, you don't drive, you skateboard because you're smarter than the average. You're smarter than the average bear. I can't.
And lucky enough to live close to work. So.
Yeah, right. I can't. Lunchbox and table saws would not be an easy thing to commute with on a skateboard. But yeah, no. But you got
don't skate while holding a table saw.
Right, yeah. Yeah, actually, I don't think that's in the manual. As a matter of fact, I think I might be okay. I don't think I was specifically told not to do that. But yeah, I mean, we've all got time in traffic, and we all listen to audiobooks. And reading's fine too. I'm not poo-pooing reading. I mean, certainly we've all read thousands of books in our life, but I tend to make time for audiobooks a lot easier than I tend to make time for reading, and that's what it comes down to, is making the time, and I just don't make the time for that. I have other things, but I can listen to an audiobook several hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what makes this fun.
Yeah, and I think also just doing this in a book club fashion instead of just reading it, calling you up and kind of talking to you about it real quickly, getting on, making a podcast about it's going to be fun because it's challenged me over the past couple of weeks to actually take notes. I have 8 pages of notes here, chapter breakdowns, and I'm really kind of thinking deeper into theories, ideas, and the overall themes and, character motivations. Also kind of trying to think of where the book's headed, definitely in a different way than normally just reading it, going on to the next book and not totally processing it. So
we're kind of having something.
It's nice to kind of get together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So with all that said, so we have we're in San Francisco in 2021. It's post-apocalyptic. Deckard is a Blade Runner. He's a bounty hunter for androids or Andes. And I believe in chapter 1 we meet his wife Erin.
Yep.
And
we do.
We also go to, if I remember correctly, we go to the roof in chapter 1, or is that chapter 2?
No, that's chapter 1. Yeah, we meet his neighbor right off the bat, get into the whole electric animal
versus live animal thing. Okay.
Yeah. And then from there, we meet in chapter 2, John Isidore.
John Isidore. Yep. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then that's where
chapter 3, we go back to Deckard.
Chapter 2 is where we also find Mercer for the first time, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So and Buster Friendly.
And Buster Friendly. Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then chapter 3, we're back with Deckard, and he's going to work. I think he's already had the fight with Erin, and he's headed to work, right?
Yep. Yeah, we find out he's a bounty hunter for androids.
Right.
And he's kind of hanging out with his boss, finding out about what's going on
Holden.
With the Mm-hmm. And finding out about the Nexus 6, the new model of androids.
Okay.
And then we go into chapter 4. We find out that he's been giving us assignment to go hunt down one of these Andes that his previous boss, who got lasered in the spine, he was hunting. So now it's on Deckard to go find 6 androids that are left. There were originally 8. Now we're down to 6 because his boss found 2 of them.
Yeah, Holden got 2 and found one, located one, but got lasered by Polyakov.
Okay, yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. So
yeah, he got lasered by the
so
third.
maybe we're
so
at
he was
7
able to.
still.
Yeah.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And
then from there it goes into chapter 5, and we find out that actually, did I skip chapter 4? I think chapter 4 to talk about Rachel Rosen.
Oh, right. We find Rachel. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And
Rachel
so there's this
Rachel
whole
Tyrell in the
institute.
movie. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I can't wait to watch the movie again because it's not fresh at all for me. So even the book as I'm reading, I can't remember barely anything that's happened.
The movie really has very little to do with the book. You're not missing much. So.
And then we go on to the next chapters. We go back to John Isidore, and he's in his apartment. He meets up with Rachel, and then we go back to Deckard. He's hunting down some more androids.
Isidore hooks up with Pris, not Rachel.
She calls herself Rachel at first.
Oh, right. Yep. Okay, she's not Pris yet. Right.
Yeah. Well, right at the beginning,
right.
She's Rachel, and then throughout their conversation, then she turns into Pris. And
then it changes to Pris. Right. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Isidore's like, what is going on with this girl,
Yeah, right.
So we'll go into all of, more detail. We'll
get into that, right? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Just in a little bit, but we're just kind of going through the chapters here real quick. But then we go back to Deckard, so it's kind of flashing back and forth between these 2 main characters.
Yeah.
And Deckard's catching up with Luba Luft, and she's one of the Andes that he's hunting down. He's given her a test, and things get a little interesting there with her. She might stump him, and stump his Voight-Kampff test. We
know, if I believe we know as the audience that she is, or we don't know for sure. That's kind of one of the themes in this book is you're never really sure, but we're pretty sure because of Holden's work that she's an android.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. I'm just catching up myself. Okay.
Yeah. And meanwhile, you're almost questioning if Deckard's an Andy.
That gets
throughout because they make him kind of question his self, at that point, what's the difference between an android and a human?
Where does humanity
gets into all of this? That's deeper ideas of what is a human? What makes somebody alive?
Where does consciousness start? Where does humanity start? That's true for the movie. The movie delves into that, and then 2049 does the same thing. That's one of the big themes in both of those movies: is where does humanity start and where does artificial intelligence stop? And where, if you're a human, by definition, is there a place where you can no longer be human? That's one of the larger themes. We'll get to that.
From there, I think, where do we end up in chapter 11? And we catch up with Deckard again, and he's taken by, we don't know if it's an Andy or if it's a detective, back to another police station. I think that's the chapter where you start going, wait a minute, is Deckard, is he a human, or what is going on? You start kind of, lines are starting to get blurred there.
Yeah. And Rachel, when Deckard gave her the test, it turns out she didn't know she was an android. So now you have androids that don't know they're androids, which is a total mind fuck, really. Like that's where it starts to get fun. So I guess chapter 11 is where Rosen and Garland, right? That's Garland and Rosen in another police station, and there's sort of a to-do there at the end of that.
Is it Rosen or is it Resch?
Oh, Resch. I'm sorry. It's Resch. I'm sorry. It's Resch. Yes, it's Resch.
Then in the movie,
Garland
maybe.
No, I'm just wrong. That's no, because
Negative
it's
points for you.
negative points, -1 geek point. I get a Chad point for that. No, I don't get a Chad point. That doesn't give me a Chad point. It gives me one less geek point. But yeah, Rosen. I'm thinking Rosen. It's because it's Rosen Industries in the book, right? Or the Nexus, the
Hmm.
creators of that. And that was messing with me when we did. We're re-recording this episode. That's why we're on episode 2.1. And one of the major mistakes I made was I kept calling it. I didn't call it the Tyrell Corporation. In the movie, it's the Tyrell Corporation, and I was calling it something completely different. So whatever. That's
I
not
mean,
the only
once you
reason
get
we're
into
re-recording, but yeah.
one universe, yeah.
Yeah.
Once you get into a universe, and then you're like reading other books at the same time, and they're all
It's
sci-fi,
yeah.
it messes with you.
Yeah. Well, in Blade Runner, especially because it's all about are memories real? Like our implanted memories, do they count as real memories? And now I have all these false fucking memories while I'm reading a book about false memories. It's like, holy shit. So that's why we don't do psychedelics anymore,
Starts.
kids.
Speak for yourself.
That's I don't. Yeah. So
No.
okay. So that's the basic chapter overview, right? Okay. So before
Hmm.
we get into the meat of it, you want to do a little side quest real quick?
Yeah. So I have been thinking about introducing any listener to a hobby of mine, and I kind of have talked to you about Marvel and
Mm-hmm.
my love for Marvel and
Yep.
everything MCU and beyond, and how back in the day I used to collect the trading cards, the Marvel trading cards. I was
Mm-hmm.
really into X-Men, and there's actually a new set coming out that I wanted to tell people about. If you're interested, there's a anime set. So it's a
Yeah.
Marvel Anime 2020 is the name of the set, and it was drawn by Peach Momoko, and there's over 90 different cards that she's drawn all the original art for. Really beautiful art of all of these characters in a different style, anime style. So if you're not somebody that's into Marvel and you like anime, it's definitely something to check out. There's kaiju drawings and mechanized drawings of each character, so they're interpreted in a different, kind of fashion. And then there's all sorts of cool insert cards with little chibi cards and like Bantu boxes that like where the card opens up and there's a
Mm.
figure inside of it, and that comes out on the 14th of October in 2020. If you're listening to this in the future, it might already be out, but
Might be out.
it's just something that I'm interested to check out, and I thought it'd be cool to share with you
Yeah.
guys. And I know that you're kind of into kaiju with
Yeah.
all of the King Kong and Godzilla type stuff going on,
Yeah.
so I
That's my
thought
yeah. I'm not really a comic guy, but I am a kaiju guy, so I could see the tie-in. I'd be interested in seeing it. I don't know if I'll collect it. I kind of have enough collections, but I'm definitely interested in seeing the art. And one of my kids is a huge Godzilla guy, so he may actually get into it if there's a thing. So we may jump on that. It sounds cool. It sounds interesting. I have an appreciation for
yeah.
comics. They don't do it for me. So actually, my little one right now has just started the MCU. So he's
Oh,
on.
really?
Yeah, Atticus has just started the MCU. So he's doing sort of an abbreviated run through. He's not running through every single one. He's doing kind of the major ones all the way down. Then he's going to go back and watch them all in. So yeah.
That's too cool. Is he like reading the comics, or is he
Just a
doing the
total Senate,
movies?
just a total movies. He's doing just the movies all down one at a time. So Blaze did it last summer. Or earlier this summer. I guess Blaze did every one of them all the way down. And then Atticus, I guess, got really into it. He watched Iron Man the other day, and he was like, "Nope, wait, no, I just want to do it all." So he backed up and started at the beginning. So yeah.
Nice. Well, Iron Man is the
So
first of
oh, I
like
guess that's what it
the
was.
current
Yeah,
era. Yeah.
I guess that's what it was. He's watched that, and then before watching Iron Man 2, he made it about halfway or maybe a quarter of the way through Iron Man 2, and went to Blaze and said, "This movie isn't making any sense. I have to watch the one that came before this." And Blaze said, well, actually, you kind of have to back up a few, and then it turned into a thing. So we have a list printed out of
That is awesome.
all the important movies, and then we'll just plop them up on the TV as they need to go. So
That makes me
yeah,
so happy.
I
My
know.
wife and
Yeah,
I are doing the same thing.
that's cool.
we're
That's awesome.
we're
Yeah.
like 10 movies, and we just watched Captain America: Winter Soldier the other night.
Oh, cool. Nice.
So we're doing that exact. We went
Nice.
back. It's
Right.
been like I don't know, 15 years or something like that
It's been
since
going on for like
maybe
ever,
not
right?
15, but like 12 or 13, I think
It's got to
actually
be
years.
close to that. Yeah.
So it's, going back and watching Iron Man again, it
Yeah.
was incredible just to
Right.
see. There's so many little Easter eggs that Kevin Feige puts into, the producer, he
Yeah.
puts in there that come back even in the last movie that just came out in Endgame,
Right.
where your mind is blown with the amount of material that he had to have in his mind for the
Right.
future.
Yeah. That's right.
So
See, now, like, I really love the idea that they did, what is it, like 25 movies or something, right? Is it 24 or 25 movies or 23 or something? It's
it very
whatever it
well
is.
may
It's
be.
like,
Yeah,
well,
that's
let's just say
crazy.
it's 20 movies, even if it's just 20 movies. I love the idea that there's this huge tome of movies and they all tie in. Sometimes they tie in really major, sometimes they tie in very lightly, sometimes there's only like one common thread, sometimes there's not a common thread until later. I absolutely adore that, just the size and the scope of this project. I think it's fantastic. I just wish it was something I was mildly interested in. Because I'm just not interested. But I love that they did it. I think it's fantastic that they did it. I'm stoked. I hope my truest hope is that someone else will do that, like, and really just go off, because it really is like the old Godzilla movies where they were tied in. Not always, some series aren't connected to other series, but you have some movies that are like 5, 6, 7 movies that all have a common thread through them. And I love large art projects like that. I think that's really cool. And just the amount of forethought, like you were saying, is just incredible. And that makes
Hmm.
me truly happy that somebody's out there doing that, and that they've got the movie studios doing that sort of thing. And I hope that opens the doors for other things. I just hope that I'm interested in one of them one of these
Well, maybe I can get you turned on
days.
to it. There's a podcast that I listen to. I would recommend for anybody out there. It's the Marvel Card Collectors podcast, where they go into all of the cards and the art more so, not the movies. They kind of talk about the movies,
Right.
and there are actually some cards shadow the movies where there are signatures on the cards from the actors
That's
uh,
cool.
that are really cool and different from like
Right.
art that's drawn on the card
Right.
type of deal. But it's called the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast, and they have like 60 episodes out there. They have artists that draw for the card sets, and they also have like the upper deck presidents and like high up, like people that make decisions on how the deck's going to come out and the type of special insert cards that they put into it. These
Right.
guys get all into that, so definitely go check that out if you guys are at all interested in,
That sounds
the
cool.
Marvel trading cards that are coming out. So
That could be a lot of
yeah.
fun. So my side quest is well, it's Godzilla. So the sound designer, there's a Godzilla versus King Kong movie coming out, which will be, I think, the third movie in the new Godzilla, which are tied together. They're not 20 movies deep. The sound designer, his name is Junkie XL. His actual name is Tom Hulkenborg. He's a Dutch musician. He's multi instrumentalist. He does the sound design on shit tons of movies. He did the sound design on, don't know if you guys heard about this. There's a little movie a couple years ago called Fury Road. I may have mentioned it. He did the sound design on that. He's doing the sound design on the new Godzilla movie. He's a huge Godzilla fan. He's been a fan since he was a little kid. And he says, he put this out on his Instagram a couple of weeks ago. He said, on Godzilla versus Kong, I said, I think we need the biggest bass drum on the planet for this score. I know the guy who can build it. What do you think? And apparently the movie studio just said, they said, let's do it. So he said he want a bass drum that was at least 8 feet in diameter. And the builder apparently laughed and called him back a little, called Junkie back a little while later, and said he couldn't do it. Said he can't. Can we do 6 foot? And this guy Tom Hulkenberg, Junkie, says, why can't you do 8? Like, can you do 10? Let's do 10 feet. I want 10 feet. Like, if you can't do 8, let's go bigger. Like, let's go bigger, right? And the maker actually said, no, we can't do it because they don't make a cow big enough to make an 8-foot drum. So I think what I appreciate about that one is that, like, that's like, when Godzilla steps, you're gonna feel it, right? Like, you're gonna, like, you're going to feel that. But I also absolutely adore the subtext in that is that I adore that there's a drum maker somewhere in Japan right now that will not use artificial cow for a drum. He's like, nope, I can only get the cow this big and that's it. That's all you're like, I'm not using artificial material to make a drum. I just think that that's craftsmanship.
That's respectable. Yeah.
I think that's clearly not the main text or the main story there, but that's the sub story. And as a builder, I take pride in my work, and I love that there's craftsmanship out there. And there's some little Japanese guy out there going, I can't make an 8-foot drum because they don't have an 8-foot cow, which somebody out there, please start making 8-foot cows, because if this guy, if you know Fury Road, and you know the sound of Fury Road, and you know the sound of this other guy, and you know he's got a great YouTube channel and everything else, this is a guy that needs an 8-foot bass drum. We need to get this guy an 8-foot drum. So somebody start breeding bigger cows, please. So, but that's
slapping the bass.
That's right. Yeah. So that bass will stay slapped. So yeah,
that
so that's
is
my
too
little.
Cool.
I know, it's funny, right? That's just,
imagine hearing that. That's going to be.
It's going to be
just knowing that that's going to be behind the step, you know, like right? That's really
even
cool.
If the movie is mediocre, the sound design is going to be phenomenal. So
yeah.
So absolutely
bringing it back to Japan.
Yeah, no, totally. So that's that. Cool. I'm looking forward to that. Okay, so all right, so getting back to Electric Sheep, Android streaming of Electric Sheep. It's the first half of the book. What'd you think? Did you like it?
Gosh, you know, as I was reading it, I had already read Old Man's War, the first half, giving you know that as the book that I chose for you.
Right.
And reading Do Androids Dream, I was just regretting my choice because I just gave you such a fluff book, you know, like an easy read. And not that Androids is a hard read, but there are just so many cool ideas and concepts right off the bat, even that compared to Old Man's War, it's more of just a straight up story. You can talk about it, but there's not really more deep details and stuff like that and thoughts. So
it's crazy.
I'm really into it.
It's funny. Androids is basically, I think it's like a 208 or a 209, maybe 210 page book. And you could talk for probably 4 to 5 hours about it. It's insane the amount of stuff in it. So it's an easy read. It's not a difficult read. It's not a dense read. There's just a lot of theme in it. There's a lot of subplot, a lot of theme. There's a lot of interesting juxtapositions in it. So
yeah, and you can read it and take it at face value too, and enjoy the story just for what it's worth. And there's good dialogue and action scenes. It's all really well written. Especially the ideas that, you know, Philip K. Dick comes up with back in the 60s. It's just amazing to think of all of these type of technology and machines that are kind of here nowadays, and some of them aren't even here. And to think, you know, that he was thinking the year 2021 that we were going to have all of these things like floating cars and an apocalyptic war, you know, the post-apocalyptic world. This is actually things that could possibly happen in our timeline, you know, in our lives. There could easily have been a nuclear war that, you know, we're in a post-fallout. We're in a world of drones, and we're not far off from, you know, I think having floating cars or, you know, elevators like Futurama.
Just
go shooting around in tubes.
No doubt. And just the Android technology, it's all advanced, but it all feels very possible, even the really outrageous stuff, except for maybe the mood organ. That I'm not entirely sold that that's a thing that we could do. But certainly,
even that with the virtual reality, you know, that's happening nowadays, and haptic suits, you kind of can consider that it could possibly be a thing, you know, where people get together over the internet. He was already predicting that, you know, people getting together across the world,
with the empathy boxes. I think the mood organ is, I don't know if it's possible or not, but I think clearly it's an analog for drugs or a prescription or otherwise, but I think that's the mood organ is an analog for that. So
you said mood organ, and I was thinking the empathy box.
Oh no, the empathy box. No, the empathy box is, I mean, more or less it's Facebook, right? I mean, that's just like, or virtual reality, Facebook through virtual reality. I think we're very close to that. maybe not in its exact way that he wrote it, but I think we're already very close to something like that. But the mood organ, the Penfield mood organ, where I think the book actually opens with that, right? Deckard and
Hmm.
the Deckards start with a giant fight and actually talk to each other and say, well, if you do this, I'm going to turn my mood organ. So I'm even madder at you. And I'm going to say even nastier things at you than I would normally. So but like I say, I think that's an analog for drugs. I think that's an analog for prescription drugs. I don't feel this, so I better take this and feel better. So I think that's where that is.
Stim. Yeah, and just being
Yeah.
able to wake up, right off the bat,
Yeah.
and he can even tell that it's kind of an odd feeling. So definitely that idea of the
Yeah.
taking your pill in the morning,
Yeah.
take the blue or the red.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then, so it starts off with the Penfield mood organ, and then you find the electric sheep, right? So we
Well,
go upstairs.
with that mood organ, it even gets into the idea of controlling somebody else. Like
That's true too.
she
Yeah.
yells at him. She goes, "Don't you dare touch my dial!" And it's just that idea of how you can control somebody and what you can make them do in this world.
Right.
With that type of stem
Yeah. No,
interaction.
exactly. Yeah. Which I thought was interesting. One of the things that I don't think I thought about the first time I read it, but this time it occurred to me that one of the things that Deckard does, one of the contrasting things he does, is he cares very deeply about animals. I mean, one of his driving forces in the entire story is getting animals. There's a lot of keeping up with the Joneses. Is I have to have an animal. He starts out with an electric sheep, which is a huge source of shame, not just for him, but for everybody on the planet. You're expected to have an animal. It's all tied into
Mm-hmm.
Mercerism. You're expected to have an animal, and there's so humiliating to have an electric animal, but you'd have to have one. Having an electric is better than having none. You'd be shunned for not having an animal. And he cares very deeply about these
Well, it was even
animals.
a law,
Oh, well, yeah, I guess.
right? Yeah.
Is it?
At first, I think,
I
right
think at
after the
first it might have been a
apocalypse.
law. Yeah. I think yeah. And then certainly Mercerism says you have to, and you have to have this so you can feel the empathy towards this. I thought it was interesting that he clearly wants to have this empathy with this animal, but he's got a wife that he has absolutely no empathy for at all.
True. Yeah.
Like he's
He's
like,
just like, I can
yeah,
I can control your
yeah,
dial, make you happy.
just turn on and then turn on the quiet satisfaction of knowing the husband is always right. Turn that on and just you'll be fine. But now I'm gonna go mess with my electric sheep. Like, and then he goes,
Dude, that's crazy. Like,
that's right. Like,
and he's so meticulous with his electric sheep,
yes, and
making sure to take care of it, just how the
just
doctor says.
just so and everything else. Yeah, and yeah, but and his absolute overwhelming desire to have another real animal, because I guess he had a real sheep. I guess he got as a wedding present or something.
Hmm.
And then it died.
Yeah, it died off, and
it died off because that's what sheep do apparently. So yeah, it died. So he had to get an electric sheep, and then there's a whole industry that's built up around replacing electric sheep and repairing them and everything, because
hmm
if humanity can make $1, it will. And that's where we get into Isiodor, right? Isiodor is a guy that works for an electric repair company, right? He comes out and he pretends that your cat is real, and he puts your pretend cat in a box and walks off very carefully. And Isiodor actually gets a real cat.
Which I have a question, and in regards to that part, I was always wondering, like, why did that couple call electric vet?
Because it's hidden so well that they didn't know it was an electric vet. They just, in a panic, you got to, when my dog was sick, I'd have gone to anybody that said they were a vet, right? Like but in this world, the guy, and then the wife of the cat guy was, he loves his cat more than anything. He's had cats all his life. He's connected to this cat more than anything else. So when that cat was sick, the guy was probably in a total and absolute abject panic. Like she said, I can't even tell him that he's dead. I can't even tell him that the cat is dead.
Mm-hmm.
It'll destroy him. So you could see somebody that just picks up a phone book or whatever the equivalent is and just sees vet, because you don't because the vets don't have on the side of their truck, hey, we do electric animals. It's, we take care of animals, nod, nod, wink, wink, know what I mean kind of thing. So I think the guy just called by accident because it was the first vet that he saw. So, because they did,
That
Isidor's
makes more
boss,
sense.
Isidor's boss said, I knew it was going to happen one of these days. So, and it had insurance for that too. Remember, there was a big conversation. Isidore was made to Isidore. I keep putting more and more syllables in his name. His name's going to have
Isidore.
30 syllables by the time I'm done. I'm going to keep adding more and more syllables.
Isidore-licious.
Isidore-licious, boo.
Is he adorable?
Is he adorable? Actually, it kind of was. In a movie, he was cute. It's one of the guys from the Newhart show. Hi, I'm Daryl, and this is my brother. Oh shit, I'm Larry, and this is my brother Daryl. This is my other brother Daryl. You'd have to hunt down a video clip from that. Anyway, that was a riot. So anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. So, but yeah, so he goes and he gets his cat. So Isidore has to, make up. So they knew that eventually they were going to get stuck with the real animal. And his boss actually mentioned that he knew it was going to happen, and they had insurance just for that event.
And Isidore even says when he's bringing the cat back to the vet, he says, even though I knew rationally it's faked, the sound of a false animal burning out its drive, then its power supply turns my stomach in knots.
Yeah.
So it's so realistic. It's to him, it's burning out its power supply, but it actually was a real cat. So
yeah,
he's just thinking it's a machine, and
yeah. Well, they said they mentioned
disguised.
Yeah. Well, they mentioned too that a lot of the machines that when they start breaking down, they actually have a disease circuit that kicks on to make it look like the animal is sick and not just running out of batteries, but actually has something physically wrong with it and shows symptoms like a runny nose or whatever, balding spots or whatever it would be. They're actually that much that they're putting that much time and effort into it. So
then you're like, if the animals are this realistic, what are the human androids like? And now we're into the Nexus.
Now we're into the Nexus 6. Yeah, the big, and
hot shit out.
my question, I have two questions: is why is Deckard still on the planet? And I know it's because his job, and his job is the most important thing to him, which is the reason he wants his job is so that he can buy animals. And buy an animal and buy animals and keep animals. But I still find it hard to believe that he wouldn't have just left. Maybe my motivations are different than his. But why aren't androids allowed on Earth? I don't remember. Do they mention why it's such a big deal that the androids shouldn't be on Earth?
I think I have that as a question written down too. I don't know where I had it written. Why? I guess the androids are runaways is what I had written. So
right.
They're basically, when you're somebody that's going to the colonies, you're given the gift of an android.
Yes.
And that android is programmed to your specifications. So it could be a sex bot. It could be, somebody that's just crunching numbers all day. It could be somebody that's a maid.
They're basically slaves, no matter what. Yeah. Right.
Any amount of possibilities. So I was thinking they're runaways. They're trying to leave that planet, and that's why they're going back to Earth. And so they're known as they're kind of like they're going in as a sting operation. They're a runaway, so they're trying to go hunt them down and bring them back to Mars, or retire them and say, you don't belong here.
Yeah. Well, they're retiring them. I mean, Deckard's not getting them and putting them in handcuffs and taking them home. That's not what Holden did. That's not what Deckard does. They go out and they kill them. They retire them.
But that's why I think, because if there's too many of them coming back, I think there's a sense of they don't even know who's an android or not. What happens if they take over? Because the androids are so clever and crafty at making you think that they're human. And they have, a whole police station set up later on.
Yeah.
And like you said, the androids, most of them don't even know. It seems like the Nexus 6, they don't know that they're an Andy.
Well, that's part of why the test was given Deckard so much trouble, is because they don't have that empathy. It's easy to say, oh, well, they're just kind of socially awkward. That's why they don't have that response. So I get that, and I understand that. And these Andes really did escape from Mars, because living on Mars is hell. They're slaves. I mean, they really are. Whatever they're programmed to do, they're essentially slaves. They're given as property to other people. They have consciousness. I think they have consciousness enough to be called alive, maybe not human, but certainly alive. And they want to escape that. They don't want to be slaves. I know very few people that actually would desire to be a slave. Like, I'm sure my toaster wouldn't want to be a fucking toaster given the opportunity to do something else. I mean, you can only be so happy cooking Pop-Tarts every day, you know? So, but if the androids did come back to Earth and overpopulate the Earth, who cares? There's like, what, 1,000 or 2,000 people left on the planet? There's virtually nobody left. And the people that are left are all diseased and crippled and dying off really rapidly because of all the dust that's everywhere, and the accumulation of rot and everything else. And if the androids came back and had Earth, why is that a bad thing? I think that's the part I don't get.
I think it goes back to even the time that we're writing this book in, the 60s. A lot of things were happening with, segregation and stuff like that. Racism was kind of prevalent a lot more in the US.
Kind of.
And, just a little bit.
A little bit.
You're different than me.
Right.
You're going to take over my job. You're going to become the new me. And where does that leave me? Where does that leave humans? And I think it even describes the people that are left on Earth at this point. They're not even considered to be human anymore, is what I think it says something like, if you're not somebody that's moved to the colonies, you're basically not part of humanity.
Yeah. You've been
in
left
my
behind.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those people, they're almost taking on this new persona of a population. They're the regulars, I think they call them, if they're not a special or chicken head.
Yeah.
They don't want somebody else coming in and taking over their property or their jobs. So that's kind of where I was thinking.
Right.
And also, they don't really know that they can trust the Andes.
Right.
I think that's kind of what I was wondering too. The Andes seem to just want to fit in. Every time they come up against one, they're just doing their job. Luba Loft is an opera singer. And who is she bother? She's a great, beautiful singer.
She's actually, you could say that she's actually contributing more to society than Deckard is. Deckard he's doing a job that's perceived as important, but Luba is actually contributing to that society in a more realistic way. It could just be that in a book with so many meanings and so much metaphor and so much allegory and so much everything else, that maybe there just isn't a reason that the androids aren't allowed on Earth, except that it's purely a plot device. And that's okay. But,
you don't like my idea of
oh no, I mean, I like that too, but it could just be that I'm looking for meaning where there just isn't any. But I agree that, I mean, certainly something's up. I think I have to go back and listen to the first couple chapters again. But
you're like those people that are always asking J.R.R. Tolkien, what's the whole,
right,
the what's the actual idea behind the story of the Lord of the Rings? And he was always like, there is no idea. It's just I wrote the story. And I think when he was like finally pressed, he said it was a story about death, is what he had said. But there's always somebody that's looking deeper for deeper meaning. And
there was years and years ago, there was a DC Film Festival, and we got tickets to a couple of different shows, and we got a ticket to a movie called American Astronaut. It's a little movie. It was made by a group of guys called the Billionaire Club. They're a little musician group. I don't know if they're still active or not, but it's worth checking the movie out. It's this weird little indie movie, just bizarre, just fucking bizarre. It was shot in a guy's apartment, and the sets were all like painted cloth and stuff. And it was really low budget. It was all black and white, super grainy film. It was interesting because it was just so just anarchic. It was crazy interesting. It was good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. But the dude was there to do a Q&A session afterward, and we all watched it, and it was just a goofy movie. It was just a movie. It was just a guy had a camera and some friends and some film, and it was like, hey, let's make a fucking movie. And that's all it was. And some guy stood up, and he was wearing penny loafers and probably salmon colored pants, and he goes, excuse me, I don't really get the point. What's it all about? And all of us that actually enjoyed it got really quiet and just stared at this guy like, it's not about anything, dude. And the filmmaker got really quiet and he looked at him. He goes, it's not really about anything, dude. It was really funny. And it really was. He was just like, it was a story I wrote and we turned it into a movie. Like, what more does it have to be? Like, it was just really fun. So, but that was just a total aside. But it's called American Astronaut. I think it was on Netflix for a while. It's totally worth checking out if you get a chance. Just weird. Don't expect anything from it. It's just weird, but it was a lot of fun. It was a goofy little movie. It's hard to even.
I mean, sometimes it's nice to just have that to put
totally.
on. You don't have to think about anything. It's just something to entertain you. One
Absolutely.
of those popcorn flicks.
Totally. I wouldn't describe it even as a popcorn flick. It wasn't Weekend at Bernie's or anything like that. It was just a bizarre little art. It really was an art house film. It was a total art flick, but it didn't have some weird allegory behind it, or it wasn't up its own ass, and it wasn't pretentious at all. It was just a group of guys that just made this really weird fucking movie. It was funny because he was just like, it's not about anything. We just made a movie. We got absolutely just shit hammered one weekend and made a movie, and this is what we made. So, and somehow DC Film Fest let us play the movie. So I can accept that maybe the androids just aren't there. I just don't know if it just surprises me that in a book so detailed that he didn't actually say this is why the androids are not allowed on the Earth. And it could just be that it's just what it is. And it's like you say, it's just because they're not supposed to be. And that could be well enough. So that's fine.
Yeah. And part of that is too, like, makes you think he wanted us to have this conversation. He wants people to kind of interpret their own ideas. And what do you think why are the androids, why do people hate them so much? Why is there somebody that's making $1,000 for every kill they get?
Yeah.
It's especially because of, you have to imagine it's not super cheap to create these Andes. No. It's got to cost something. You think that they could reprogram them, capture them, but I guess that they're so individual and they're so human like that you can't really do that. I think once they're created, it doesn't get into any of that, but that's the beauty of it. You have to think about that yourself. Maybe in the second half it does, but
I get the sense that it's once you're programmed, and that's what it is. You get one shot when you're born. You get your stuff. Yeah. Which, actually, thinking about it, Old Man's War had a very similar sort of thing, right? That was and we won't get too far into it at all because we're going to address it bigger, but there was sort of that kind of programming, you're old at birth sort of thing. And I don't think it was influenced by or anything so much as that, but there was a bit of that in there, just thinking about it, because I had just finished that book. So
yeah,
we'll get into that that's another episode. But
also some of the world building that he does with different abbreviations and words. He has apps or apartments. The papes are the paper.
Yeah.
Stem is the brain stem that they use for on the empathy machine. Andy is an android. You have the specials, which are people that are not able to pass like a normal IQ test. The Mercerism. You also have the onion skin papers that the detectives are looking through. Kipple, which is the radioactive dust everywhere. The poop sheet, which is like the info about androids. And the radio-proof lead cog piece, which is like their outfit that they wear.
Yeah.
So like all of these cool little vocab words that are pretty easy to pick up on, and it really just immerses you into the world. And I guess when I'm picturing the world, I picture a very dusty, rundown San Francisco, where there's really not much color. I think they even mentioned that you can only go out, like there's a weather report, and he's like, if you're going out at this time of day, be careful, type of thing. So what I picture is this really detailed world with dust everywhere, and but the people that are in it, I guess, are kind of creating the stories. You almost have silence as a character, because silence is overtaking everything.
Yeah.
And that's why people hack in, or not hack in, but like go into the empathy box to share
Yeah.
this shared experience. It's kind of like a religion. I think you had uh, hinted me onto that
Yeah.
when they're climbing up, they log into this empathy box. They're in a virtual reality where they're ascending a brown barren landscape, and they're constantly following somebody who's being reincarnated. And it's kind of like, I think you were telling me that it's a mixture of all of the past regions on Earth.
I think
I
so.
thought that was a
That's
really, really cool idea.
yeah. I'm not positive that that's exactly what uh, Dick was going for, but I think that like, well, you have Mercer apparently had washed up in a basket on a shore, which is Moses. Um, you've got him climbing up a hill continually, which is Sisyphus. That's why you say Sisyphean task on a really big task, because Sisyphus was made to climb a mountain every day, push a boulder to the top of a mountain. At the end of the day, it would roll back down. He'd have to do it again. It was a punishment from
Huh.
the gods. Um, so that's Mercer is continually walking up this hill and having rocks and shit hucked at him, and there's adversaries on both sides of him that manifest into real physical pain and damage to people. Aaron, Isidore, actually got a cut on his arm.
Oh shit.
Um,
Hold on one second. Sorry. My Audacity just died.
really?
Fuck. Audacity.
Did you see it happen?
Check found problems. It just like paused just now, and like a little error message came up and said it died. I
Huh.
think I have that first hour. Hold on, let me just. Yeah, I have it, but shit. My computer said that it's low on memory. That's what happened.
Oh fuck, dude. Okay. Well, we have the fuck
So
it.
what?
We've got the recording. I've got the Zoom is recording, so we'll have that audio at any rate.
Well, I have my audio though, so it actually is there. I was able to recover it. I opened it back up, and it was like
Okay.
recover audio, so
Okay.
it's there. I have a separate drive that has like 500 gigs free,
Okay.
so I just need to figure out how to
Oh, so
reallocate.
so for that you've got to go to, because I had to do the same thing. If you go to edit, you can go down to preferences,
Uh-huh.
and you got to look. I can't open it because I'm recording still, but you go to edit. The drop down goes to preferences. Click on that. It should go to
Directories,
export.
import, export.
Not under file import export, but under preferences. Oh, maybe it was libraries. Maybe it was libraries.
There's a directories. I think that might be what it is.
That might be it.
Choose. Let's see here. Yep. Let me just make a folder. Damn, that's crazy.
No worries. That's fun. Yeah, I got an old quarter T SSD that we use for dropping shit on for TV and stuff that I've been using for this.
That's crazy. My buddy both built this computer for me, and when he set it up, I think he just didn't allocate enough memory to like the first drive, kind of thing.
It could have been.
Because it's like I think the main drive is kind of small.
Right. That's what. Yeah. On my computer, I've got a tiny little SSD just for Windows, but then I think I've got like 4.5 T in different storage, but it's all in different drives. It's a real pain in the ass. I need to go just get one giant massive storage unit and change everything out.
Damn, you have 4.5 T. That's crazy.
About, yeah, but it's all packed full. It's all movies. It's all movies and audiobooks. It's got like, it's insane, dude. I have to go buy a 6T drive and just transfer everything over to one. I probably have a half a T just in music.
Damn, holy shit.
Yeah, I've been collecting music for decades though. I've been like, I mean, literally probably like, well, since Napster, right? I mean, when Napster came out, it's when I started downloading shit. And I don't download
That's
an
crazy.
album. I download an entire, like
Everything.
if I dig a band, I'm like, oh yeah, just everything they've ever done. Like I want demos, I want live shows, I want I've got my Iron Maiden collection is absurd. I've got like shows from a Swedish bar before they were anybody. Just somebody recorded on an old cassette tape and then uploaded eventually. So
Huh, that's cool.
yeah.
Hold, let me run. I'll gotta take
Okay.
a leak real quick. I'll be right back.
All right.
Oh yeah, that felt good. My dog was like whining too, so I let him out.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think what do you think? This episode's going better?
Yeah, I feel like it's going better. If we could,
Yeah.
I don't know how long we've got on my Audacity. I've got that we've recorded for an
I
hour
think
and 4 minutes.
I was gonna say I think it was right around an hour, so we should probably. It's kind of nice actually taking a quick break in the middle to kind of
Yeah, really.
figure out where we are.
I think we probably want to wrap it up. I mean, not now, right? I mean, we got to touch on Mercerism
Start getting
and,
close to it though.
but start getting close. I think we want to try to keep right around.
Yeah.
I don't think we want an episode that goes as long as like an hour and a half. That seems really long to me, but I don't have a very long attention span anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm
It's,
kind of indifferent to long episodes because I'm like, oh, if I would listen to 10 minutes now, I'll listen to an hour tomorrow and
right.
I'll listen to 30 minutes the next. I don't know. So that
Yeah.
it never bothers me, but I do know, like your buddy, there's a lot of
Yeah.
people that listen to it in like I'm driving to work. I have an
Yeah. Well, I
hour
know. Yeah.
time
And
slot.
I can't, I'm not going to base my podcast around a guy that has a 20-minute commute. You know what I mean? Like I can't do that.
Yeah.
And I don't think a 20-minute cast or a 40-minute cast is going to be long enough for what we're trying to do. But I think an hour and a half might be a little long for most people. I mean, clearly
Yeah.
it's going to be over an hour. I mean, we could probably edit a little bit out, just some ums and ahs and shit like that, maybe. But
I think for the most part,
for the most part, we've got an hour.
I don't think we
Basically
do.
an hour. Yeah, but I'm just like I don't
Luckily,
know
both of us don't
exactly when
say,
it started. Yeah.
yeah. I think we started a few minutes after. So, I mean, even if we keep it to like an hour, 10 minutes or something, an hour,
That seems hour 15.
like that's not too bad.
I feel
Yeah.
like we could. I feel like we could.
I think we're
Probably.
both pretty good. Like we don't say or like
Yeah.
or
Right.
too much. I feel like when I was listening to it back, I
Yeah.
might say like a few times. But
I mean, we both. Yeah. I don't think either one of us are perfect on it. I just mean like at the beginning of the thing. I think there's probably like 5 minutes of us just getting ready,
yeah.
and then, well, most of this break I'm recording just so I don't have to remember to hit pause again, just to be safe. So there's probably just some fluff in there we can cut out, but I think if we wrap it up in about 15 minutes, it will probably feel like a pretty good episode. I think I want to talk about
I think so.
I got another quick side quest about some movie stuff that's coming up. I got a little bit of news about Dune. I got a little bit of news about Tron 3, which I might be the only guy on the planet that has a chubby about that, but I'm fucking excited about that. And then Cowboy Bebop. Have you seen Cowboy Bebop?
No, I know what
Okay.
I know the name. What is it?
Okay. It's an anime show. It's like 26 episodes. It's one of the best it's good. It's cartoon. It's good. It's fucking rad.
Yeah, I feel
it's
like I've heard, like, I know it's a cult classic or whatever.
totally worth watching. It's just really, really good. Netflix is talking about doing a live action one, which is going to be really, really bad. So, but
That could be
yeah,
cool. That's cool to
it
talk
won't
about.
it
We should
won't be,
also,
but we should bring it up because it's very, very current. So, and then Dune just got
yeah,
postponed a year.
I know,
So
I heard about that. It's
I'm
crazy.
fucking crushed, dude. I mean, it's the right decision, but dude,
They're trying to figure out when to
yeah,
release it. They gotta release it at the right time of year
it's
too.
going to be right now. They're shooting
It
for
sounds like,
October 2021.
yeah, and I think that
Yeah.
they're thinking it's an Oscar potential because that's where the Joker was.
Oh,
So they're
interesting.
putting it
Okay.
in that time
Right.
slot.
That makes
Thinking,
sense.
oh, this has possible Oscar
That makes
written on
sense.
it. So that's
And but
good that they think it's that good.
well, they also need a good turnout because they got to make the second half. Remember, this is only the first half. The second half hasn't been made, and it's not like the second half has been filmed yet. So they need a good
Hmm.
response for this movie so that they're allowed to make the second half. They need this movie. That's why they're not going to do it at home. They were going to release it just in the theater. We should talk about this as a
I
thing.
was gonna say, yeah. And then
So,
let's touch on
okay.
Bill and Ted real quick too at the very end because I think we
Okay.
mentioned that in the first
Oh
episode.
yeah, we
So
did. Yeah,
we'll
that was
touch on that.
homework. Okay. So
So we'll,
let's get back into I guess we'll go back over the religion thing and Mercerism because I don't know where we left off on that, and then
yeah, I'm
the
gonna
book
clap.
10 more minutes maybe,
That sounds good.
and then
Cool.
yeah, because we're about there. I mean, yeah. So okay,
Yeah.
all right. You ready? Start again.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, I had
I'll
a
start.
yeah. I guess I just had a little bit of a technical difficulty trying to figure out my computer memory there, but we're back with you guys. So
Back. Okay.
whatever we were
So
talking about.
I think we started by talking about Mercerism. Mercer washed up on the shore like Moses. Mercer's walking up and down a hill like Sisyphus in Sisyphean tasks. Um, Isidore got hit by a rock and it manifested itself in real life, which is an interesting thing for a virtual reality machine, which I don't know if the empathy box is a virtual reality machine, but I think we can use that language because that's language that we can understand that box. You're holding handles and you go into it that way. But I think, yeah, the empathy box, I think, is a really interesting thing too, because like you say, the silence is a character. The silence is overwhelming on this planet and in this world now. And there's no one left. Everybody's left to the earth, but you can grab the Mercer box. You can grab the empathy box. There's literally two handles on it and be engaged with literally everyone else that's doing that. That's not just on Earth. That's all the people that are on Mars. Also, you're part of that. You're part of them, and you're feeling their emotions. And they're feeling your emotions as a direct connect, which is a really interesting thing to think about. So,
Yeah, it makes you think kind of like a parallels social media nowadays where you were kind of saying like it's your Facebook as you wake up, you check all of your social medias, you actually feel kind of a nice high if you get a notification or if you get a
right.
text message or an alert on your phone. It's that next bit of digital download that you
Yeah,
need, and it's like
totally. You get a,
it's
yeah,
it's just
you get that.
nonstop all over the place. So
Well, you do. You get a little
that
shot of
same idea.
you get a little shot of, I don't know if it's endorphin or serotonin or whatever, but you get one of the little happy drugs from your brain every time you get a Facebook notification, which it's probably a good time to mention. Go ahead and email us. Go ahead and hit us up on our socials. The links will be in the description. Go ahead and hit us up with that. Give us some of that serotonin, that
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful endorphin. Tell us what you
Totally.
think and get in on the conversation. Like do that. Do that as a thing, please. I need some more serotonin in my life. I think we all do. But yeah, no, that
Yeah.
aside, it's a real, it really is. And there wasn't an analog for that back in 68. There wasn't an analog version of Facebook. There was nothing like that. So I don't know if I would go so far as to say Dick predicted this, but he certainly did call it, whether he meant to or not. It really is a very similar experience. And it's interesting. Like
Yeah.
I hate Facebook. I don't like that I'm on Facebook, but there's people that I'm in contact with that I simply would not be in contact with anymore. There's a couple friends from high school that are very close, dear friends that live all over the country, and I would not be in touch with them if it wasn't for Facebook. And I can visit with them every day, and it's really cool. So it's creepily similar. No, I'm glad I don't get hit
Drives
with
out the
virtual reality.
silence.
Yeah, it drives out the silence and gives you something to do when you're pooping. That's so, but it is interesting. It is interesting that it really is an analog for Facebook and Insta and Snapchat and all that stuff. That's really. Oh, we don't have a Snapchat. That's one thing I didn't sign us up for. I got to sign us up. Well, we don't need a Snapchat.
Snapchat coming. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't.
Maybe
Keep you
not.
guys on the edge of your seat on that one.
Yeah.
All of our 10 listeners.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
We love each and every one of you.
Dearly. Absolutely dearly. You're all my favorite. Yeah. So what else should we hit on?
So then
in the first. Go ahead.
Well, the juxtaposition of Mercerism versus whatever Buster Friendly's preaching. So then, so you have this radio personality. Yeah. Where, people connect onto their, I think they watch him on TV. It's like the only TV station that's left that the government kind of made was like a public broadcast.
Yeah. I think they said it was like
that was
like on a, yeah, if I remember right, it was like one of the only free channels that was there. It was mandated by the government. And there's some other channels you can get if you sign up. Basically, you get cable packages or something, I guess you can still do. But I think it's like the only free channel left is the Buster Friendly channel. And it goes for like 23 hours a day, right? Like it's just, and it's the one dude and it's nonstop. So he's just, railing lines to stay awake or something. But he's, yeah.
Well, Isidore has some insight on him. He even thinks, especially for somebody that's a special, I have written down in my notes, Isidore insight, just like in capital letters. And there's multiple pages that I have that written down on where he always just has in the back of his mind. He's the one that connects Mercerism with Buster Friendly's preaching, and where Buster's kind of the opposite of Mercerism, where he actually makes fun of the whole, that whole like the what is it, the virtual reality, where he's like, if I had to go there, I'd need a 6-pack of beers to get me through.
Right.
And so I don't know where I was going with that, but
Mercerism, we were talking about Mercerism being a religion earlier. I think Mercerism is more of a cult than a religion. I think it's probably not like actually like a real religion, but it's definitely a cult. It's achieved a cult status. I know that Mercerism is the reason that you have animals and that you have to have this empathy with all these other people. And I don't think Buster Friendly has a similar thing, right? He's a television personality. That's
where I was going, because you said he was up for 23 hours. He like broadcasts his program for 23 hours a day.
Yeah.
1 hour break. Is he an Andy? He must be, because there's no way a human can do such a thing.
It could be an Andy. He could be an artificial intelligence. It could be a sort of a Max Headroom kind of thing, sort of a programmed, a computer program that looks like that interacts like a human. It could be a lot of different things. We don't know yet. Maybe we won't know. I don't know. Maybe it's like, that's another cool thing about this book is what's important and what isn't. There's, and I don't think there's a lot of Chekhov's guns in this book. I think there's a lot of stuff that it's there for a reason. But it'd be interesting to see where that goes and like you say, there's a definite fight between Buster and Mercer. And it'd be interesting to see where that goes.
Yeah. That's what I kind of am curious to see. I think that kind of plays into where Deckard is right now in chapter 11. He is really questioning. There's times where he's questioning, am I a human? He doesn't actually come out and say that, but you can tell that he's curious with the conversation that's going on in his brain. He's like, oh shit, am I a human? Am I an android?
Right.
and
Well,
it's going back and forth.
and the other Blade Runner, the other investigator, he's worried that he is, and he's talking about like having to jump off a building if he's an android. Like, and you can see that Deckard has got that same, holy shit, what are the implications of this? If he is, why can't I be? Like, what? I don't think I am, but Rachel didn't think she was either. Like, there's a lot of that's actually a bit of horror as well. Like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
some of us maybe have had an experience or two in our past that makes us feel like maybe we're not who we thought we were or whatever, and it can be really traumatic. But that's a moment of horror too. It's like, oh man, maybe everything that I know and love really isn't real. That's some existential shit dread right there is what that is. So yeah, no, and Deckard is definitely going through that in that part of the book. He's definitely questioning whether it's real, whether he's real, whether, what are his actual motivations? Are his motivations his, or his motivations programmed into him for someone else? There's a lot just in that one chapter. There's a lot of that goes on. So,
And it comes back to the title of the book, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Yeah.
Does an Andy actually have this dream of owning an animal?
Yeah.
Is that something that Deckard obviously has this dream of owning an animal? Every chance that he gets, he's checking, the Aussies for prices. He's calling up pet stores.
Yeah.
So
right.
Yeah. Does in this world is an android dreaming of owning an electric sheep, which makes him human?
Right.
Where is that line? What makes you human? Is it the fact that you have a heartbeat? Is it the fact that you can think? I think, therefore I am.
Yeah. Is it consciousness? Is it empathy? Is the difference empathy? Are you alive if you don't have empathy, but now all of a sudden you're human because you can feel something for someone else?
I think that's what he's pointing at.
Do you cease to be human if you no longer care about other people? Is that the end of humanity? That's
And he goes into that thought with spiders and meat eaters. If you're a carnivore, you can't have the empathy gene because it basically, you're not going to be able to make it in the world if you have the empathy gene. You're going to fear for your prey. Yeah. And so he talks about, the strength of a herd animal, whereas a human also is an omnivore, and you have strength in that herd. Whereas an Andy, that's where it shows up in the Voight comp test. They don't have that empathy. They don't have that same, and it's a split second, where they still try to trick you. They think that they do, and that's why they don't even know that they're an Andy, because in their mind, that split of a second, that's nothing to them. They still have that reaction, but that's what the Voight comp test is there for.
That's what the test. Yeah. So
it's crazy,
It's also interesting that the Rosen Corporation, well, Tyrell in the movie, but the Rosen Corporation is trying to make androids that are more and more and more perfect that can pass these tests. And what are their motivations for doing that? Other than maybe that just goes back to the craftsmanship. Maybe we need to talk to the guy that's going to make the 8-foot cow. It's not about why you should do it. It's just, can I do it? Can I make this android that is the perfect human? What is the motivation of the Rosen Corporation to do that? Or the the Rosen Industries or whatever it is, but why would they do that? What is their motivation? If they're really just tasked with giving out androids to people moving to Mars to have a servant or as a prize, hey, look, we'll give you this android to do your dirty work for you, your butler. What's the point in making them ultra human, more human than which actually there's another one. I forgot all about this. The White Zombies. Is it White Zombie or Rob Zombie? More human than human. I can't remember which, but that is it? I think that's Rob Zombie, not White Zombie.
Yeah, I was going to say Rob Zombie.
But it's, at any rate, that is a song. That song is based on this book, More Human Than Human.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it totally is. And I forgot to mention that in episode actual 2, but now we're in episode 2.1. So
homework, man. I got to go listen to that. Yeah.
It's time to, well, you should listen every day. You should listen to the Talking Heads. Every day you should listen to a little bit of Rob Zombie, and every day you should listen to a little bit of Black Sabbath. That makes the world perfect. But the key there is the Talking Heads. You need more Talking Heads in your life. Everybody needs to listen to more Talking Heads. And this has nothing to do with anything, but I just got all of them. Anything by the Talking Heads is good. I just got back into soul coughing. It has nothing to do with anything, but I just
Oh
got back.
man,
I know,
bringing it
right?
back.
I know, dude. I know. It's funny. I was at work the other day and circles came in my head and I thought, where the hell did that come from? I couldn't even remember what album it was. I couldn't remember what band it was. And then my brain was like, El Oso, dude. It's El Oso. And I was like, what the hell does that mean? So I Googled it and I was like, oh, fucking soul coughing, right? So I've been on this big
That's
soul
on
coughing.
Chasing Amy, I think, right? The movie
I don't
Chasing
know.
Amy
I don't
by
remember. It could have been.
Silent Bob.
Yeah. Kevin Smith, back when Kevin Smith could make a
Yeah,
movie.
I'm pretty
Ooh.
sure it's in that movie.
It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, no, so I've been on this big soul coughing kick for the last 2 days. That has nothing to do with anything. But Rob Zombie, the More Human Than Human, he wrote it either way. I don't know if it was White Zombie or Rob Zombie, but whatever. That is a direct about this book. So
Wow, that's cool. I'm
yeah.
gonna go listen to that like right now.
I know, right? Like, yeah, that's well, it's a good commute song. If you're doing it downhill on your board, it's a good song to listen to going downhill fast. So, but yeah, so
Give me the speed, baby.
that's it. Just downhill as fast as you can go.
Yeah, I think that kind of wraps up
I think we can
our
wrap it up.
thoughts
there
probably
now.
for the first part.
For the first half of the book. Touch on.
I did have one, actually, now that I think about it, one kind of interesting thing. They're flying cars. In the movie, it really goes into like the whole technology and stuff. At one point, he flies from San Francisco to Seattle in a flying car.
Uh-huh.
And it doesn't mention anything like in the book, like, oh, it took him this long. He was taking a nap. He, put it into autopilot mode. I just thought that was kind of cool that he just glides right over that, but it's a thing that happens. There are flying cars.
There's flying cars.
There are laser guns.
There's laser guns. They just that's a thing. Laser guns. They all have laser tubes. That's a thing. You can just get a laser tube and just laser, dude. You can do that, and you can.
That.
You can fly from Seattle to you can fly from San Francisco to Seattle, and not have to say it took 4 days or 3 days or whatever. I mean, it was a quick trip, presumably. Like, I mean, you get the sense that it was like maybe an hour, but it was a totally doable commute. It wasn't like you had to gear up and go to Wawa first and like really load up on sodas and,
Slim Jims.
Slim Jims and Takis and shit like that. You just hop in your car and you go. So presumably it goes pretty quick. Although I guess there's no road, so it's a straight line at any rate. And there's probably no traffic because there's nobody left. But true. Yeah, no, they just say, oh, it's just the thing you do. You get in your car and you go to Seattle for the day.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Can't wait to watch the movie to see that difference, because I know it really does show like the neon lights and the population. It seems much more like a
it's very
populist world.
Yes.
I don't know what the word is. Populist. That's not the right word.
No. Populated, overpopulated,
overpopulated.
Very dense population.
You get that feeling that the noodle bars and all that type of stuff. It's definitely the beginning of cyberpunk. Maybe.
Oh, for sure. Oh, absolutely.
Was that the first movie?
It was either that or Akira. It was between Blade Runner and Akira was the birth of, when you hear the word cyberpunk, that vision in your head is directly from Blade Runner and Akira. That was the birth. And unfortunately, we kind of got stuck right there. Nobody went and said, oh yeah, also this can happen. They just said, oh cool, neon lights and rain. Okay, cool. Until 2049. 2049 came out and they actually went with it. And you can see a lot of the desolation in 2049. There's when they get to Vegas, when Kay finds Deckard, as a matter of fact, in Vegas, everything's very brown and washed out and everything's dusty and dry. And it's not just rains and really crowded noodle bars and shit like that. And then there's a scene in a junkyard that's just absolutely like just completely, it's just rust. It's just cars that just fall apart if you look at them. So they really kind of took that aesthetic and said, well, it'll happen in a few more years, and went with that. But yeah, Blade Runner really is the birth of cyberpunk. It is the birth of that, of the genre and of that aesthetic. So that was absolutely Blade Runner and Akira between the two of them.
That's cool. I can't wait to go and watch Blade Runner. That's going to be my next, as soon as I finish the book, I can't wait to do that and just
it's great.
compare?
It's one
I've
thing.
seen it already, but it's been a
Oh,
while.
sure.
So
Yeah, no, it's
yeah.
been, yeah. One thing that I do like is a totally different story. They have a lot of the same characters, and generally you've got Deckard going around trying to retire androids or replicants in the movie, but not a lot of similarity. One thing that does come through a lot more in the movie than the book is the financial disparity. The rich are very, very rich. The Tyrell Corporation is insanely rich, and everybody else is insanely dirt poor. You have two levels. You're either rich or you're just living off waste, and that
Hmm.
is in the book. They mention that, like, the Tyrell Corporation has this incredible owl that costs probably hundreds of thousands of dollars to create. And the lie that it's real and everything. So you get the sense, or the Rosen Foundation. So you get the sense that they're ultra rich, and you get the sense that everybody else, like Isidore's not raking it in. He's got a place because he lives in an abandoned apartment building. He's the only guy that lives in his apartment building. Shit's just abandoned. So you have that income disparity there, but it's a lot more, you see it a lot more in the movie. It's a lot more obvious in the movie. That comes through a lot more than Dick was able to say, or maybe he didn't even want to talk about it in the book. I'm not sure, but it's clearly it was there in the book. That comes through in the movie a lot more. Still a
Was it
great
a
movie. Still a great
Ridley
movie.
Scott movie?
Ridley Scott did it.
Yeah.
Actually, Ridley Scott ties into Dune. Ridley Scott was asked to do Dune, and he said no, that he was going to do something else. And then there was a bunch of stuff, and then he ended up doing Blade Runner. And that was, yeah. So that was a Ridley Scott movie. Yeah, that was. So
Great imagination to take the words in that book and be able to translate it into what we see in the movie.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you said, the beginning of Cyberpunk.
The beginning of Cyberpunk. And
It's too cool.
Ridley
Wow.
Scott, you can say what you will about Ridley Scott. I mean, he ruined Aliens. The last two movies absolutely just ruined Aliens. But he can build a world. He can build a world. But it gets weirder too, because so Ridley Scott was going to do Dune, and he didn't. Lynch ended up doing Dune, for better, for worse, whatever. And then Villeneuve is now doing the new Dune. Villeneuve, Denis Villeneuve is the guy that's doing the new Dune. He's the guy that did Blade Runner 2049.
Oh, that's right. You told me that.
Yeah. So you've got, there's
crazy.
Like just this total weird little thing. So there's a segue into, we just learned this week. I guess that's about it for Do Android Stream of Electric Sheep, but we'll use that as a segue into
for part one.
For part one, segue into the bad news that Dune has been postponed for a year. We have to wait till October 2021. It sucks, but we need it to do good so we can get the second half. Like, they've only filmed the one half, so we need it to do well in the theater. It can't just do well over streaming or something like that. It's got to do well in the theater. A lot of people have to go see it. They got to make money on it. They got to see that it's worth doing the second half. Villeneuve is a huge Dune fan. He's wanted to do Dune since he was a little kid and saw Lynch's version. Not that he was shitting on Lynch's version, but he said, man, we can do this. This is a thing. I want to do this. It's a dream project for him his whole life. And I believe in him. I think that if anybody can do it, I think he can do it. I've actually got a lot of Villeneuve's movies in my queue ready to go. I'm going to watch a few this next couple of weeks and get more of his stuff under my belt. But yeah, so we're all hoping, and maybe it's not bad. And it's actually interesting in the book. You've not done Dune. Is that correct? You have not read Dune yet?
Not yet. Unfortunately,
okay.
I need to.
Okay. Well, you got a year, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But there is actually in the book, at about the halfway point, there's a 3-year span. There's actually a jump in the book where they actually jump forward in time 3 years, and that's about where this movie ends, is right there. So maybe that year will actually be nice. The actors will be older by a year, and maybe that jump ahead will actually work for the benefit of it. So
Oh, that's cool. And I know Warner Brothers is pretty serious about it, because they're putting it into that Joker time slot where Joker won Oscars and stuff like that. So maybe it's an Oscar potential.
That would be.
So they're thinking good things.
Yeah. So we'll see. If he does a good job, I don't see why it wouldn't win something, or at least get praise. But yeah, putting it in that late slot, we had it. It was going to be mid-December. of this year, and they bumped it up to October of next year.
Hmm.
But they're bumping a bunch of shit. There's another Batman movie, I guess, coming out, and they bumped that up till
Hmm.
next year or the following year, even. Which I have
I
thoughts
think
on
it might even be
Batman.
the following,
I
or no,
think
they put it in between like two Marvel movies in
okay,
2021. I think it was.
okay,
I can't remember the month.
something like
I'm
that.
sure it's all going to change again just because of the
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
the whole COVID
We'll see what
situation.
happens. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But we can get into Batman one of these days too. But I got feelings about Batman. That's, I think I think Batman is a rotten person and a rotten character. I think Batman is the cause of all the problems in Gotham.
Oh
I
wow!
think. Yeah, we can get into that next time. I'll go off on a little mini rant about Batman later, but I think it's capitalism
Yeah, I can't
unchecked.
wait.
So, so talking about movies and streaming movies doing well. Homework a couple of weeks ago was the new Bill and Ted,
That's
which
right, and I
I
did my
understand you
homework,
did your
Mr. Teacher.
homework. That's right. So
Yes,
what'd you
my
think?
wife and I we watched it together, and it was pretty awesome, actually.
Right?
It the spoiler alert for anybody that's listening.
Yeah.
If you
Don't.
haven't
Yeah.
watched
Yeah.
Bill and Ted, don't
Right.
listen anymore or skip ahead like a minute or
Skip
two.
ahead. Yeah. Go
But
watch the movie and then come back.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Right.
I think that, like you said, acting was really, really great.
Alex Winter nailed it, dude.
Yeah, you can tell that he went back to school
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
trained for this. When they're interacting with themselves, and like especially when it gets to like their Keanu's like the bodybuilder, or they're both
Yeah.
bodybuilders, and they're
Yeah. Yeah.
every single time they talk to themselves, it's just a riot.
Yeah.
And the actual story was pretty cool. I like how they involved both of their daughters
Uh-huh.
into it,
Yeah.
and especially Bill's daughter. I thought she did a really, really good job of like
Yeah.
his mannerisms and the way that like his
Yeah.
body would move
Uh-huh.
and bump back, and like you
Yeah.
could tell like she would fling her hair like in a certain way.
Yeah.
She definitely nailed it.
Yeah. No, they did a
And
great
it was
job.
cool
Yeah.
that like all of the same actors came back. Like Death was there.
Death came back. That was pretty rad. That was cool that he came back. I loved it. I thought it was great. I like the first movie. Are they good movies? Or is it good? Yeah. Is it good cinema? No, but it never was going to be, right? I mean, the first two movies weren't, but they were fun, right? I mean, they were just
Totally,
fun.
dude.
That was totally right. And it kept that. Like I was worried. I was worried that they were going to screw it all up, that it was going to be a bunch of retired actors trying to cash in on something at the last minute. And it wasn't that. It was actors coming back to reprise roles because they enjoyed doing those roles. I really believe that everybody came back because they wanted to continue to tell the story. I had a friend that said he was worried because he loved the movies, but after watching this, he felt loved. He felt like they appreciated the
Huh.
fans, and that's all he had to say about it. He's like, "You just go watch it yourself." But I felt respected and I felt loved afterward. I felt like it was a gift to the fans, and I think they did a great job. And it was a ton of fun, and it was it was goofy and
Keanu
if
just
it,
seems like
yeah
he seems like a good dude, right? Like
yeah.
he,
Well, I
for
mean, he
somebody
is, right?
that's so
Yeah,
famous,
that's
like
yeah. No, well, he is. I mean, he's a solid dude. He's a solid human. He still takes the trains and shit like that. He like on the there's a story about him in the Matrix. He bought. I guess he's got a motorcycle company, right? That's what's one of the things he does is makes motorcycles. All the stuntmen in one of the Matrix movies all got one of his motorcycles. He just came in and just gave everybody a motorcycle. He's just like, you get a motorcycle and you get a motorcycle.
dang.
And he gives out like tons of money, and he's a solid dude. He's a really good dude, but he's had a lot of heartache.
He really immerses himself into the role.
Yeah, totally. He's although you could I've seen people say that he does that because he's sort of blank. He's so blank that you can put yourself in his position. So, but if you do go back, one of the earliest Keanu Reeves movies he was in was called Dangerous Liaisons. It goes back a long time, and it's about I guess it's no, I haven't seen it in probably 20 or maybe 30 years. Um it's
Dating you a little bit.
yeah. Yeah, it's got to be well shit probably 30 years anyways. Yeah. So It happens way in a long time ago where everybody had like powdered wigs and shit like that. And it was all about people going around and just having sex with other people and screwing each other over. But he's in that. And it's before Bill and Ted, but he's Ted. In Renaissance France, he's walking around with a powdered wig going, dude, it's just really funny. It's a movie worth watching if you're into that sort of thing. It's a good period piece. It's a good period piece if you want to watch it. But he was very Bill in that, or Ted. He was very Ted in that. But yeah, the new Bill and Ted, totally worth watching, right? Totally fun. Music was
Definitely.
decent. Death, the whole thing with Death was really funny.
Yeah.
Missy still getting passed around is just hysterical. Like that's yeah. And Alex Winter, I thought Alex Winter should get something.
It definitely makes you want to go. Yeah, and especially if you haven't watched the last two movies, it makes you want to go back and watch those again too.
Totally, absolutely. Like shit, that's it's one of those things you just watch every couple of years just because they're fun. They're positive movies. They're just good, fun, positive movies. Yeah.
It's kind of what we need like right now too. It's like a perfect time for it. So
exactly. Yeah, just nice. Yeah. Nothing fun, good wholesome fun. Good wholesome fun. That was when they came out with like the theremin and shit at the wedding thing and started doing like throat singing and shit. That was a fucking riot, dude. That was so funny. It was like, oh my god.
I was practicing my throat singing the other day. Yeah, it's getting into bass, like trying to.
Funny. I tried to do that. I tried to.
Man, I'm out of breath.
On one of my commutes, I decided in the morning I'm going to try to see if I could do it, but I could never get the sound. It just made me cough a lot on the way to work, so I quit. I should pick it back up.
I was coughing too.
That's funny. That's funny.
Oh man!
Everybody
insert sample throat singing here.
Yeah. So what else?
Don't take that the wrong way.
Yeah. Well,
I think
it's about it.
Insert into the throat singing.
New Tron. There's a new Tron coming out. There's a Tron 3 coming out. So pretty soon, everybody's homework is going to be watching Tron 1 and Tron 2, which I'm a big fan of the old Tron and the new Tron. I don't even remember what it was called, Legacy or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. Daft Punk did the sound for the second. They did all the soundtrack for the second Tron movie. That was really good if you're into that sort of thing.
Yeah, you were telling me about that. I need to check that out.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like regular Daft Punk. I mean, it's definitely movie score, but it's really good. It's not something I'd listen to. It's not French house, but it's definitely, they did a really good job with it. I do like Daft Punk, I will admit. Oh, and actually, it's funny. I have my Flynn's arcade hat right here. So I'm a fucking Tron geek. So yeah, Tron 3 is coming out. Dune is not. I think it's it. I think it's about
sad day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that'll be future homework, but I think for my homework and for anyone else that wants to tune in next episode, certainly read the next part of Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. And we're going to definitely get into, more of the deeper ideas, our thoughts behind that. And, I am going to watch the movie again. I think I'm going to watch that and 2049, I think before next episode. That way we can kind of talk about it after we finish our review of the book, get into a little bit of comparing and contrasting. And
totally. Yeah.
I'm definitely picturing Harrison Ford as Deckard the whole time I'm listening to it. So he's my Deckard.
Yeah.
And no one else can be Deckard.
No one else is. He's not in the book. He's not my Deckard. He's totally my Deckard in the movie, but he's not my Deckard. He's my Deckard. He's good. He's not Harrison Ford in my head for the book, though. He's not.
I can't picture anyone else. Who else would it be?
I can't. It's not a dude. It's just kind of an amalgamation of just a bunch of 50s noir guys. Not any one dude, but I just see a guy in a gray suit, a really tatty gray suit.
Kind of like a shadow face.
Kind of
can't totally make out his feet.
Like some white dude with like Jack Webb hair and a big square jaw. Just kind of like 50s noir. Not Bogart, not anybody real. Just kind of some B dude. I don't know, but I see most of it in black and white. I've got most of that movie is in or most of that book is in black and white for me.
Wow,
Not
huh?
everything, but just about all of it. The empathy box with Mercer, that's all color. Buster's color. Um, but just
Buster's
about,
definitely colorful.
but yeah, Buster's definitely colorful. But yeah, it's just all washed out in black and white for me. I don't know. I just in
Huh.
gray, lots of gray, a lot of gray, just industrial gray because of the
That might
dust and
change the way
everything.
I listen to the next part of the book.
Interesting. That's funny.
I'm
But
still
I
going to
love
picture Deckard, but I might picture
right.
him in black and white.
Yeah. See, I just to me because it's just so in a way, especially the way Brick reads it, it's just very 50s. I see or 40s even, like late 30s, early 40s, just very like there's no way this guy doesn't call women dames. There's no like in real life, Scott Brick has to call people dames, you know what I mean? Or broads,
Bunch of broads,
bunch
yeah.
of broads, Like I just like I love the way he reads it. I think his voice is I think they cast that really well. I don't know that they could have
Hmm.
cast it. I don't know that they could have cast that better.
I picture him kind of smoking a cigarette as he's reading the book too.
Yeah, right.
You
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
hear him inhaling and
Yeah,
that
and
kind
just
of
telling the story.
gritty.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's a tumbler full of brown liquor on the mic stand.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? There's just it's there, He's not hammered or nothing. He's not drinking a lot, but there's a brown liquor Collins glass sitting there, Just yeah. No, totally. In an unfiltered cigarette for sure. No, he nails it.
Unfiltered.
Yeah, no, that'd be the one, man, So, yeah.
After a meal is
That's
when a
right.
cigarette tastes best.
That's right.
Mm, my God.
Yeah.
Well, in that fashion, I think we're going to kind of wrap things up for this week. It's
Yeah.
definitely been a pleasure discussing the first half of the book. And like we said, next week will be the second half. And then
Yep.
from there, we'll go on to the book that I
Yep.
challenged you
Mm-hmm.
with, was just going to be Old Man's War
Old Man's
by
War.
John Scalzi. So if you have extra time, definitely go in and check that out in the meantime. But
Yeah.
we'll see you guys in another couple of weeks,
Yeah.
maybe a week. I don't know. We're
We'll
we're
see.
not totally sure what our time frame is yet,
Yeah. We're working that
but
out.
kind of going as we kind of we're
Yeah.
going as we can and doing it as much as we can. We both have families and
Shit.
other kind of big priorities in our
Yeah.
lives right now. So, but I think it's important to kind of make time for
Oh yeah. Yeah,
for
totally.
for
Fun.
something to
Fun.
an escape. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. No, totally.
it's the part of my day that I really look forward to.
Yeah.
So I hope that you guys as listeners look forward to
Yeah.
kind of coming along on this journey with us.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And if you guys
So,
have, like we keep saying, if you want in, let us know, and if you got book
mhm.
suggestions, let us know.
Oh man, totally. And if you want to
That's
come on
yeah.
an episode,
Yeah.
we'd love to have you on
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Totally.
It can be anything. It doesn't have to be sci-fi. It could be fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
It could be fiction, nonfiction. If you
I
have
do
something that you
I
think
do
we'd be
something
into,
something fun in nonfiction would be fun.
yeah,
I haven't done nonfiction in a while. I got some good nonfiction picks if we want to do that one day.
I have some too that I've been
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah.
For now, we'll keep it sci-fi.
Yeah,
But
no, let's keep it. It started sci-fi. We'll keep it sci-fi and bounce around there. I think we both have kind of.
fantasy.
I know I've got
Yeah.
mine. It's not even my turn to give you a book. I've already got my book picked out for you.
I was gonna say I have books picked out for you, especially because
Yeah.
Old Man's War was an
Yeah.
easy one. So I got
Oh yeah.
stuff
No,
for you.
I know. I got. Well, I know you have an easy one coming up, and I know I have a hard one coming up. So that's fair.
That's
But
right.
I like that. Well, not hard. Old Man's War wasn't. I wouldn't. It's good. It's fun. It's a fun book. It's not as themey. It's not as jam packed. So, but it's
Yeah, you
it's
can't
definitely
dissect
good.
a theme from every single chapter.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. So
Yeah.
cool.
So that was it for this week. This has been the Holograms Media Club podcast, subject to change,
Subject to change.
and
Episode 2.1.
2.1, baby. We'll be here. We hope you guys will be here with us, and definitely check us out. We're on Facebook, the Hologram Media Club. I think you can look us up.
Yeah, well, there'll be a link in the description.
Yeah, we'll throw all those links. We're on Instagram. We're going to be posting a couple of photos. I'll post some photos of my notes here,
Yeah,
and
that's
maybe a
that's
photo
great.
of my bookshelf
Yeah,
back here and some Star Wars
that's right.
collection stuff.
That'd be cool.
So
I could sprinkle
yeah,
some of mine. I got some Star Wars stuff floating about. I could sprinkle in some pictures there too. We have a TikTok too. I got TikTok before it got banned, so I don't know if we'll upload anything to it, but we even have a TikTok, so
we will be
we'll have it
there.
there. We'll have something. So yeah, definitely let us know what you guys are thinking, and we'll talk to you guys in a couple of weeks or less.
Yeah, sounds good. See you
Excellent.
then.
And